Welcome back, guys. Michael Buller is here once again to show you some Yale Club favorites. And today we're going to be talking a little bit about infusing spirits and the kinds of flavors that are really good to work with when you want to do infusions. The one we're going to feature today is a pineapple infused rum that we are going to use later on in the video to make a skinny pina colada ice pop that you can also come in and try on the roof this summer. So the first step in everything is you want to wash your produce, right? So we also have some limes here and some mint that I'm going to show you with vodka, as well as this big, beautiful red grapefruit. So we are going to cut our pineapple. We don't have any use for those. This pineapple is very, very ripe. So a great way to save fruit if you've possibly bought too much or too early, or like I had happen, have 2 pineapples come when I only ordered 1. A great way to preserve it is to go ahead and infuse it with alcohol, because you'll get a little bit more shelf life, because all that vodka or rum will prohibit any kind of bacterial growth because the alcohol percentage is so high on those. So we want to make sure we take out the eyes. Not a real tasty part of the pineapple. We're just gonna cut this bad boy into quarters. If you see any extra little eyes, just go ahead and trim those off. Quarter that. And you can actually leave the core in for these. But then it's as simple as making yourself little wedges. And we are going to go ahead and pop these right inside of a mason jar. And we are going to fill this bad boy right up to the brim. The beauty in infusing is you can get all that intense pineapple flavor extracted right out into the spirit. So with some of the other drinks that I'm going to show you today, you don't have to necessarily use the fruit itself, but you can get the flavor right out of there. And essentially make your own pineapple vodka or tequila or rum or whatever you prefer right in your very own home. So I'm going to cut these last couple pieces a wee bit smaller, just so I can really stuff the jar. And the other great thing about infusion is you don't have to worry about having the best, most exclusive spirits. I have the, world's most ubiquitous white rum here. So all we're going to do is pour that right to the very top. Sometimes it's good to give it a moment just to allow it to settle, because sometimes the pineapple or the fruit, depending on how juicy it is actually going to absorb it right in there, and then you're going to see a little bubbling. And then we will just top it off. So this we are going to set aside. No need to refrigerate, as this is now completely shelf stable. Okay, and we will come back to that tomorrow for our skinny frozen pina colada popsicle. What I am going to do now is show you some other fruits that I think infuse really, really well. So I am going to do a citrus infusion on some vodka. So I have the ruby red grapefruit as well as some limes. And then I'm also going to take a little bit more of the pineapple because I have so much of it. And I'm going to do a pineapple mint infusion just to add a little different freshness, and it'll almost be like you have a mojito that's ready to go. So the next infusion that we're going to do is a pineapple and mint. I've cut the pineapple into little tidbits. So we're going to plop those right in our second mason jar here. And then we are going to do what is called a chiffonade on the mint. So essentially we just want to make a nice little pile with all our mint leaves. But they are sticking to my hand because of the very, very juicy pineapple that I just cut. So we're going to make a little pile, and then we are going to roll it up like we were hand rolling our own cigars. And then we are just going to do 1/4 inch slices until we have these nice, beautiful, thin ribbons of mint that I am going to layer in between of our pineapple. And then just to make sure they get all throughout, as soon as we add the rum to this, we will give it a nice little shake. Beautiful. I think just to be different, maybe we'll give this one a couple of slices of lime too. The great thing about infusing is you can try a little bit each day, and then once the flavor is right where you like it, you can remove the fruit and strain out the spirit, and then you'll have everything you need to make your future cocktail. Alright, so let's pop 2, maybe 3 limes in here, 1 more pineapple just for good measure. You always want to be careful with how many herbs you're adding to an infusion, just because a little goes a long way. They can definitely potently power any spirit that they're extracting their flavor into. So once again with our rum, another lid. We'll just give this a gentle back and forth upside down spin, and then about 24 hours from now we should have a mint pineapple lime infused rum, which I think sounds awesome already. Some other things you could use are dried tea and spices, but now we are going to get a little bit fancy, and I'm going to use my Porthole Infuser. This is a really cool device that you see at the very high-end cocktail bars around the city and the world. Essentially, it allows you to do infusions in a very, very small but beautiful presentation. I don't typically need to leave things that I infuse in here longer than an hour or 2 before you can really start tasting the fruit, or the herbs, or the tea, or the spices, or whatever you so desire. So I am going to unhook this and start stuffing it. Alright, so we have our fancy infusion device opened up here. So we are going to then, as artfully or as quickly as you like, start layering the base with our fruits. So we're going to start with a layer of limes. Then we are going to do some ruby red grapefruit slices that I have here. Just for good measure, to show you guys the tea I was talking about before, this is about a tablespoon's worth of Japanese green sencha. So we will just give that a little sprinkle around here, because I love green tea vodka. Probably put just a couple more wedges here. Alright, and then we are going to pop our top back on. So we've got that all tightened up. So now we're going to flip it on its side. Okay. Then we are going to use a funnel to very carefully add our vodka. Just about perfect, as I'm getting a little vodka pouring back out the side. Okay. So we are going to cap this, and then we are going to let this sit on the counter for about 1 hour, and then we'll be ready to drink some green tea and citrus infused vodka. So our pineapple and rum jar is fully infused after about a week here. And you can tell it's ready by the fancy tropical clothing that I am wearing, and that it is ice pop o'clock. So the first thing we are going to do is measure out 3/4 of a cup of the pineapple and rum mixture. I just do that simply by volume here because I do want the pineapple as well as the infused rum in the drink. I did throw a few extra pieces from the jar into the blender as well, because I really like that infused pineapple flavor. The next thing we're going to do is measure out 2 cups of coconut water. If you don't have coconut water, you can definitely use cream of coconut. You're just going to want to adjust the amount that's in there. Cream of coconut is more full of fat and also a much more intense flavor. So you're going to want to reduce that down to about 3/4 of a cup. But since this is a skinny version, and I'm probably going to eat 3 instead of 1, I wanted to make it a little lighter on the calorie side. So the 2 cups of coconut water go in the blender also. It's really important to measure all this stuff, mostly because if you don't get your total mixture down below 12% alcohol, it won't freeze. So if you want to end up with a pina colada slushie, just throw as much as you want in, but if you want to make sure that you come out with a beautiful firm ice pop, you got to make sure that you follow the recipe amounts precisely. The last thing we're going to add to here is just 2 tablespoons of regular old white sugar, just to balance everything out. Hopefully I didn't spill too much on the floor here. Then we are going to lid up and blend. There we have it. The only thing left to do is pour these into our molds and stick some sticks in them. So as a fun bonus treat, since we have 4 more slots left in our ice pop mold, we are going to make some kid-friendly ice pops. We are going to be doing a mixed berry and yogurt smoothie version that is frozen. So I happen to have some strawberries that were getting a little old in the refrigerator, but that's okay because they are perfectly ripe. So we are going to pour about half a cup in there. Also have some blueberries and blackberries that are mixed together. So we'll do about another half a cup of those. 2 tablespoons or so of honey, just to make sure everything is sweetened up. It should be good. You can always taste it and adjust it as needed. Put a splash of almond milk here, just to get everything the right consistency. Probably about 1/4 of a cup to start, but we're going to blend it, see the texture, and then adjust as needed. The last thing we're going to use is a little bit of Icelandic yogurt. Always a good way to trick kids into eating extra protein and something that is good for them, is definitely with an ice pop. I am going to eyeball this one since there's no alcohol and it's going to freeze either way. We're more looking for the right consistency than we are the exact perfect balance. So I'm going to start with about between a 1/4 and a half a cup. Pop our lid back on the blender. We'll give that another medium, a little bit of medium power for about 15 seconds. That should do it. I'm going to pop these in the mold and then put the mold in the freezer. And in about 6 to 8 hours, we should be ready to go with some ice pops. So I'm going to gently put the popsicle sticks in here. I've taken out a little bit of extra insurance against the kids accidentally grabbing a alcoholic version because I'm using plain unbranded sticks on the pina colada version, and I've got these fancy pretty colored ones which I'm hoping they want to grab first, but just to be safe I'll probably hand them out anyway. But all you got to do is slide the sticks down in the little slot. Now if you don't have a fancy mold, you can also actually use an ice cube tray or a Ziploc bag even, and if you roll it up into a little corner there, you can have yourself almost an Italian ice or a push pop style of the same kind of things. So all that's left to do is stick these in the freezer.